Hey guys, it is Halloween, and what that means is I get to bring out my Halloween shirt, and we're going to make a fun card. So this is really easy to do. When you open it up, our little bats come through the little window, and then we've got a cute. It's from our new set, the Happy Halloween, and from the Spooky Sweet set, and then the bats are made with our bat punch, which is also out of the new catalog. And the cool thing about this too is you can mail it, guys, when you mail it, and that way it's not bulk or anything, because I don't really dimensionals here. So let me go over the products, and I actually have a PDF down below that lists all of the products. The bats are made with our bat punch, which is product number 148014. But this is cute. It's in the holiday catalog, and that is the bat punch. And I just used our basic black stock paper for this. And I actually doubled it. I taped two bats together just to make it a little bit thicker. And then, so with that bat punch, you can make that just out of the black stock paper. I also used black stock paper. I used our cauldron. I used the Cauldron Bubble Toil and Trouble card stock. Okay, and that's this really cool green, orange, purple, and black. Obviously, I used the green for the cauldron, and that's really all I used, but this paper is so neat, and this is the black. You also get the black in this pack of paper. Okay, then I used the cauldrons I got from it's called the Toil and Trouble Designer Series paper, which is so cute. And on the back, whoa, sorry, you can see I've been using this a lot. But on the back of the cauldrons, if I have any left, shoot, I used a lot of these, is the green and white dots. So you have this paper, and you can fussy cut out the cauldrons, and fussy cut just means using your Stampin' Up! Snips and cut around there. But I actually used our cauldron framelit dies, because there is a cauldron, a nice little cauldron die cut in there that I used with the Big Shot. So you need this sheet of paper from the Designer Series paper, the Toil and Trouble, and on the back is the green and white that we used for the front of the card. Okay, again, I have a PDF listed that lists everything, and if you can't find it down below, it's actually also on my Facebook page, Diane Moore, and it's on my Stampin' with Diane.stampinup.net website, stampinwithdiane.stampinup.net. Okay, so let's go over the other supplies that we need. So you've got your Designer Series paper, you've got your cardstock, and all of this is coming out of the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and it's on page 49. Okay, all of these 49 and actually page 51. And if you need a catalog, please leave me a message below and I will get one to you. Okay, you need that are just basic standard is our basic black ink, and I also used the Whisper White. And these were actually used for the Whisper White. You can see I used on the front that Bubble Toil and Trouble, which is so cute. And then on the inside, I used the black ink, Happy Halloween. And I did sponge right around the edges there, which gives it that kind of spooky look. And you just do that with a sponge dauber that you can also get from Stampin' Up! And you dot it into the ink pad. Well, I'll show you how we do it. Okay. Then you've got your Whisper White cardstock on the inside. And we have another bat. Because that's the fun thing about this bat punch, guys, is that you get 3 different size bats. 3 different size bats. And it actually goes along with the designer series paper that has these black bats on it. So you could do these bats if you want. Look at the back with the stars. It's so cute. And I used that on my other card that you saw. Okay, so you've got your basic black paper, you've got your green paper, you've got your cauldrons, and you've got your ink pads, basic black and whisper white. Okay, so now let's go over the stamps. I've got the Bubble Bubble Boil and Trouble, and that comes out of the Cauldron Bubble stamp set, which again is on page 49 of the catalog. So the designer series paper is Toil and Trouble designer series paper, Toil and Trouble cardstock pack. Cauldron Bubble is stamp set that I used for the Bubble Bubble Toil and Trouble. And then on the inside, I used this Happy Halloween. I just really liked that. I hope that glare is not too bad. I really liked the just the font that they used, the little curly cues. I'm going to just do this different way so you can see it. Okay, and then again, we have our Stampin' Up! Cauldron Framelit dies. And that gave me the, oh, we have more shiny. That gave me the cauldron that I used that. You can see how much I've used it so far because I've used the witches, I've used the cat, I've used the cauldron, but this is the framelit die that we'll use. I'll show you how to use it on that designer series paper. Makes it very easy. And then last but not least, I did use my stitched framelit dies, the circles, and I did that for this outside, these outside circles. Actually, I may need to get the, so I have the white one and I have the green one. This is again Whisper White stock, and then our Toil and Trouble cardstock pack for the white. The stitched framelit dies are in your Stampin' Up! Catalog, and that's this one. So if you need that, let me know. Again, here's my Halloween shirt. Exciting. Okay, let's start. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to cut your black cardstock. You've got your 8.5 by 11 paper. Take your Stampin' Up! Trimmer. Go ahead and cut that right down the center, and we're using this the vertical way. So half of 8.5 by half of 8.5 is 4 1/4. If anybody remembers that from school. Okay, so I just line that up. And again, the lighter one is for scoring, so I don't really need that one. The darker blade is for cutting, so I just go ahead and cut that. And then I do want to score this in half, so I actually do a kind of a fake crease, but then I take and put it in here, line it up with the liner, only because I'm just not that big on numbers, guys. Now I've got my scorer blade right there, so I can just go ahead and, hey, okay, just to make it a cleaner cut. Now I can just score. Now remember, lighter blade, because we're scoring, we're not cutting. And now I've got a nice clean score line, and I can actually furnish that with my scoring tool, which the bone folder, because it's always good to burnish. Okay, then the next thing you want to do, let's go ahead and get our green and white paper. Okay, this one, I have 2 samples, and one's a little bit wider than the other. So I'm going to go with the sample I was showing you on the screen. But this is, at the widest, it's going to be, it's 2 inches wide. 2 inches wide, and that's going to be about the length of our card. And you can play with that. I mean, this one is 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and cut that. Let's just make sure. Is this one also 2 inches? See, this one's less than 2 inches. What look do we like? Let's do this. I like this. It's 1 3/4. It's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. 1 3/4 by 5 by 5 1/4. I mean, but again, you are the creator, so therefore you can do it any size you want. If you like the wider look, that one's 2 inches. If you like the thinner look, 1 3/4. So the thing is, I know I want to use some of my cauldrons, right? And so when you're looking at this paper and designing your card, I ended up using on this one the darker green. On this card, I used it's a very slight difference, but the green, darker green is more at the top. So when you're cutting, because you're going to use the back, remember, for your green and white dots, just know like, okay, if I want these cauldrons, I'm not going to cut on this part. I'll cut up here. So I'm going to actually cut up here. So we're going to go 1 3/4. And okay, and don't mind me, but I always have to measure against measure. I am not like a big numbers person, so I always just look to make sure. This is how I do it, guys. Sometimes I just put up my sample against the actual paper cutter, and then I know, okay, I've got the right numbers. So, okay, I like to make sure that it's lined up on the top just to make sure I'm going straight. Again, the lighter, I don't need. I'm going to use my darker blade. Just cut 1 3/4. And then I want it to be at 5 1/4. This I could use the line, I suppose. Let's use, okay, so here's 5 1/4. Let's line that up. Cut. See, now I actually have 2, so you're set to make 2 cards with just that one cut. Okay, so yay, we've got our nice piece. We don't have our little punch out yet in there, but I've got my piece. So 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Then let's go ahead and punch this. And the thing is, you want to save what you punch out. So I've got an older punch, but I put in the number of the new punch that you use for this. And then line it up with your card. So this is where you want it to be. Now you can use Post-it notes or washi tape. I just hold it in so it's temporarily like right there and it doesn't move. And I'm like, okay, do I like that? Just adjust to be where you want it to be on the card. Okay. And if you can be exact if you'd like. When I actually wrote out these directions, I put like exactly where I punched it. But if you're an eyeballer like me, just go ahead and take a Post-it note, post this down, just tape that down temporarily. And now take your punch and you're going to punch through only the front of the card. You don't want to punch through the back. And you put it upside down, that way you can see what you're doing there. And then, okay, I kind of do like to hold it like this so I can see. Is that actually straight? Okay. And there you go. Now, save these pieces. That's another reason why that Post-it note is nice. Because you're going to use this little green and white piece. You're going to glue it onto this back of the back piece so that it lines up, because then when you're opening the card, it looks like it's just all one piece, but it's actually not. Okay, so again, good use for your Post-it note, or you can use washi tape. Just take it and you just put them all together. That way, everything is set. If you're making a bunch at a time, you've got each one set with what it needs. Okay, now we need to make our green circle. So you're going to go ahead and die cut with your Big Shot. One of the larger, and actually this one is too large. This is the white one. Oh, maybe not. This is the green one. And it looks like the green. This is a little bit. I need the next side, the medium side. But basically, I'll go through this because I'm gonna make we need the white one with this. To use your Big Shot, you're going to just put on your bottom plate. Oh, I am gonna have to go get the other plate. Okay, let me get both. Okay, this I have the right size framelit, and looks like I can't find that plate. So this is the actual green framelit. But you're going to take your paper. Again, this is too wide. I'm going to have to cut this in half with my trimmer. And you're just going to run it through the Big Shot. Again, I'm eyeballing here. I think that's going to be big enough. Now, because I can't find my top plate right at this second, I'm just going to show you without the top plate. But when you use your Big Shot, you've got your bottom plate, you've got your first plastic plate, then you put on the paper, you put on your die cut, and then you put another plate over it. I can't find it, so yeah, it's not going to be big enough without it. And then you run it through. Okay, but either way, it would work. And I actually had made a pre-sample, but that's how you would do it. So again, this is the stitched framelit dies, and you can see how they fit within each other. And when you buy this, it's in our actual big catalog, but you get several different shapes and several different sizes. And let me show you how it looks. And this is why I like it. It just adds that little bit of detail, giving you that little bit of detail. This is for another card, guys, which is real cute too. Looks like there's stitches around the outside of it. Isn't that cute? I don't know if you can see that because of the glare, but so this is what it would look like if I had had the top plate. And then I take my white circle, which I don't seem to have a copy of. We had a class the other night, and some of it got used. Then you would take your white circle. So all you do with this is glue it. Well, let's not glue it. You glue this circle, the white circle, and then your cauldron, which you can die cut with the cauldron die cut onto the designer series paper. You just fit it around whichever cauldron you want to use, and you die cut it into Big Shot like I just did. So that's our pieces. So of course, right, I pre-cut these, so I'm set. Then for the Bubble Toil and Trouble oval, I actually used a punch, and I also did that for the Happy Halloween. So the Happy Halloween punch is this 1-inch punch. I took my Whisper White, and you can see I had made my circles here. And actually, let's stamp first. I have a feeling that my Happy Halloween stamper, yes, it is. I took it out. Okay. Shoot. My Happy Halloween, I pre-stamped these, but basically I put it on my Stampin' Up! Block. This is the background for texture. And I just stamped Happy Halloween onto this one with my black ink. And then for Whisper White, I stamped on a black piece of paper, and then I used the oval punch to actually punch through that piece. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so since I have mine pre-punched, I'm just going to have to go with that. I'll use this circle. Oh, that's not quite the same though. Okay, so you've got your black piece of paper. Well, let's just go ahead and assemble, and you'll have to bear with me on that white circle because I obviously use them all. Okay, so all you do for this, I used a little bit of each tear and tape and my glue. The reason I did that is I want the tear and tape, to me, is like nice and strong, but I did want to put some extra glue to reinforce around this area where my bats are coming through. Now, I pre-punched a bunch of bats with my black paper. So I have these all set. Okay. But with your punch, you can do a bunch like that too. You just tend to like, it's like, oh, bats. I will need bats for lots of cards. So I just kept going. So I ended up with a little tray of bats, which came in handy for our class. Because I don't know if you noticed, but there's 3 different size bats on here, and they're all a little different. So you've got your really big one with the outstretched wings, you've got your smaller one, and then you've got this guy that's also outstretched wings, but that different, like they're upside down. Okay, so your tear and tape there, then I just take my glue and I reinforce around the edges. Hey. And of course, oh, there we go. And guys, I'm like glue happy. So I think I was that kid in school that just used so much glue and then just got my fingers sticky. And then remember how you would just leave the glue sticking on your fingers and peel it off later and be like, oh, look, I can see my fingerprints. Yes, that was too much fun. So this brings back all those fun memories. So I'm just taking off the tear and tape. And the thing is, here's a trick. When you glue this, open it up. And I do love my Stampin' Up! Grid paper because it does help me to line it up. And then that way you can see that hole, because if the black is in the background, it makes it hard to see the hole. And there we go. Now I just put it in. Great. Okay, then with this other green and white paper that you have saved, you want to make sure you've lined it. Okay, so you can see I cut off part of the circle, right, when I did the punch. So I just take my glue, put it on the back of this. This is also nice when it's nice to have that new Stampin' Up! Pickup tool, which I used when I was doing these. And I just glued it through this hole. Woo! See, this is the nice thing about the glue is it has some play. And then just press it in there. That way, look, it looks like it's all one piece. And that's just part of the illusion, which makes this card so fun. Okay, then you take your bats. And I'm going to use these bats this time. I actually did take 2 and put them together just to make it stronger. Look, I have bats flying all over my table. So I just took my glue again. I'm actually getting better with my glue. I'm very proud of myself. Put these 2 together. Okay, then I took and I used my Stampin' Up! Snips, actually. I'm not going to use them to cut, but I just used them to give a nice bend to the bat, okay? Because I want them to have that nice bend. And I just used that. Put it down here. And I don't know if you can see my head's in the way there. I just took it and on each side and did a bend. Okay, now then you could also use this with them closed and you could kind of fluff out their little bat wings if you want. Okay, but the bend is important because, hopefully you can see that. I'm just using it as like an edge to give me a crease. The bend is important because that's where you're going to glue to put it onto the card. Now I used 2 bats, right? I did an upper bat and a lower bat. And I think that's cute. I've seen, you can use one if you'd like, but I think bats travel in pairs at least, don't they? I actually had some in our backyard the other morning. That was kind of interesting, except, and what I learned is that, I don't know if it's a joke, but the bat is kind of like the Texas bird. Because we do have bats in Austin, Texas. We have a little bat cave where people can go watch. I went to college in Missouri, and that was what we would do for fun, go walk through the bat caves. But anyway, the bats that we have in our backyard are the kinds of bats, and then I'm going to crease this again, that eat mosquitoes. So I'm good with that. Okay. So I creased it again. So I have that nice little flat edge, so I can just paste it down. Paste, glue it. Now see, that's a little bit too much glue, but we're gonna be okay with that. And then before you like totally secure your bats, just make sure that you can open the card. Oops. Well, this bat wants to fly away. I'm not going to let him. I actually use my snip guy. Snip cover. This is another thing I love about Stampin' Up, especially if you have little kids. Their scissors, their Stampin' Up snips come with a cover. But anyway, before you like totally get that glue all dried in there, just make sure that you can open and close it. And you can. And I'm telling you that if you're going to use this card like for Christmas or anything, and you have maybe a larger item that's going to come through the hole, just keep that in mind. Like always test that you can open and close it. Okay, then all we do is we take our Bubble Toil and Trouble, which I have stamped with Whisper White onto black paper. And again, that's from the Spooky Sweet stamp set. And I'm going to put dimensionals and pop that up. You don't have to, but I thought that was a nicer look. I didn't bring my dimensionals in here, so that's okay too. Then we're going to take our green framelit. Now you can use either one, tear and tape or your glue. Because now notice on the stitch framelits, your back side is just dots, and you want to make sure that what's showing is the side that actually looks like the stitches. But since I like to have a little play with my items, because sometimes I place it and then I'm like, wait, I want to move that a little bit. And that's what the glue allows you to do. And this glue, of course, is also Stampin' Up. And again, I have that PDF posted that shows everything. And if you can't find it, it's actually on my stampinwithdiane.stampinup.net website. Stampinwithdiane.stampinup.net. I don't know if I have it on the back of it. Okay, so then I have my green. I would put the white circle, so we'll pretend the white circle is on there. And then I'm going to put the cauldron on top of that. So see if I didn't have the white circle, how it just doesn't pop as much. So just for the sake of here, I'm going to just put this on. We'll put dimensionals. And again, I eyeball that. I liked, some people said, well, you could take your white sponge dauber and you could put white around the edge of that. Let's see how one would look like. But I kind of liked how it looked like it's floating on the outside of the black paper. But okay, so if I were to sponge it, I dab my sponge dauber into my Whisper White ink pad, and then I just come around the edges. And that actually does look kind of cool. You can just do the edges. Like if I just was like, oh, I just want the edges, I'm going to go nice and light just around the edges. But I kind of like when you have a little bit on the inside, like on the Happy Halloween, it gives it that kind of, ooh, spooky, eerie look. So I do sponge dauber in. So this is how that would look, like that. Actually, I will put it down. Although this is going to stick and then I'll never be able to get it up. If I had a piece of washi tape, it'd be perfect. But so just so you can see a variation there, that's how that would look. I don't know. Y'all can put in the comment which one you like. If it's white on the edges versus this is just black, like it's floating. And then this is with the white sponged on the outside. Okay, so this is, I don't have the stitched of this, but we'll just use this. So you just glue down your white circle, which again was made with my stitched framelit die, and then you put on your cauldron. And all we're going to do with this is we're going to put our baker's twine on the bottom. I had two different baker's twines. I did one with the green and white, and I did one with the black and white. And I just tied it around this part. And I'll show you a trick on that. Tie a knot first, and I put a glue dot down to hold it. Okay. And then let's put our back piece on. So my back piece, to make sure you get that punched, here's this washi tape again. I use it a lot because it just helps me hold things in place. I actually put it through here and I lined it up, and I was like, do I like how that looks? Is that the right size? Because for each card, I don't know, it just seemed like different sizes. So this would not have been punched, but I kind of lined it up and said, you know what, I don't like where that sits, or I do like where that sits. And then I punched through. So let's pretend there is no punch in this one. You can see here, and I lined it up how I would want it to line up on the paper. See, like this one, I'm going to actually trim it a little bit. That's too long. So I would take my paper trimmer, trim this edge just a tad, and then actually let's just go ahead and do it with a green piece of paper. I'm going to give that a little different look. That way you can see it done. Put the stamp in it. That's the thing. Try to close up your ink pads ASAP so they're not. Let's try this with green. This will be kind of fun. Again, see how I line it? I just use my old sample and I put it in my trimmer. I don't need to do that. I could just actually measure it. But that's just the kind of how I am. I like to just, if I have a sample, to me that's just easier. Now, I said I wanted to make this one a little bit shorter than this, so bring it up. That's where I would cut it. Oh, so look, it's 5. That's actually 5 1/4, but I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Okay. So let's see how this looks with green. This is fun. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to line this up here and say, okay, that's where I want that paper to go. That is nice. I'll like that. And then just, I've got the front there, right? And I'm just going to punch right through there. I'm looking at it. I mean, I'm, okay. Because that way I know it lines up with the other piece. Now I save all my little punch pieces because that'll go through there. So see, that lines up nice. I don't know if I like the green, but hey, it's kind of cute actually. And then I take my black, I take my little bat. Remember I said there's 3 different types of bats, and that's the one that I put on the inside. Look how many bats I have, guys. I have bats for every season. Okay, this guy. And I glued him right here onto the corner. So we're on the inside now. And then over the edge. And he could hang out over the edge, actually. Let's see how that looks. You could have him hang out over the edge. You could have him line up. I'm going to have him hang out over the edge on this one, just a tad. And then my Happy Halloween is punched with the 1-inch punch just on the Whisper White. Okay. You would stamp it first, and of course, like I said, I don't have that one. You know what? You can use, let's say we're going to use this one. Spooky Sweet. So you can just at least see the process. You put your stamp, you stick it onto your Stampin' Block. I'm going to do this one with black. Well, I don't know if this sentiment will fit into the, just dot it. Just one little thing. And this is the thing. I mean, the stamp pads are so nice and inked up. It barely fits into the 1 inch, but I'm going to do it anyway, just because we can see. And then I'm going to dauber around the edge to give it that spooky look. And glue that down. Now again, on this back, I'm going to use the tear and tape. Okay, so that's how that one looks. So we've actually made a little bit of a different look here. I'm going to use the tear and tape on the back of this and just lay that down. Here's my extra little pieces. But then I will use glue around that opening because that's the part that's going to get the most wear and tear on this card. So again, around this edge, this little opening, I'm going to put some glue. I want that to really, especially if you're sending it to children, they're going to be opening, closing, opening, closing. And then you just tear off the strip. This is what we love about tear and tape, right? This is a no mess glue, and the adhesive is very strong. And when that happens, when you're picking off the wax paper and the actual sticky is coming up, just push down on the wax paper. So that way it'll stay down. And a lot of times I do use my bone folder to push this down first. I'm using my snips right here. The cover of the snips, another use for it, but it does help me to push that wax paper down, and that makes it a lot easier just to tear off. Another tip. See, didn't use it there. Harder to tear off. Plus, I don't have nails right now. Okay, and then all we're going to do is line this up around your bats. Of course, you could do your bats last. Actually, when I made my mass production of these, I did use my bats last. I did put the bats in last. But there you go. And there is your card. I didn't bring the baker's twine in with me, but there you go, guys. Is that too much fun? Okay, so the PDF is below. www.stampinwithdiane.stampinup.net for my website. And we do have the new Halloween paper pumpkin that came in, which is these cute little treat bags. So if you want to subscribe to that, you could go on my website, www.stampinwithdiane.stampinup.net. I'm going to write it. www.stampin, because it's Stampin, I-N, with Diane, .stampinup.net. And of course, I'll post that. I always post the link www.stampitwithdiane.stampinup.net. If you want to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, if you want to go ahead and join and be on my team. We also have a holiday camp in San Antonio coming up October 13th, so you can get in on that fun. But for now, happy Halloween. Have a great Halloween, and enjoy your day. Happy crafting.